Hi, this is Robert. I'm a concerned citizen who has been working along with a team of election observers, observing elections where ranked choice voting was in use. This is a public service announcement to make you aware of the fact that ranked choice voting is not what it seems. This voting method is actively being pushed and backed by big dollar globalist organizations to fundamentally change how we vote. In this presentation, we will show you major red flags with ranked choice voting. We will also demonstrate to you these organizations did not push this to create a fairer way to vote. Rather, their aim is to manipulate and control who wins in every election. So, who is pushing ranked choice voting? These are just some of the organizations that you may know locally that are overtly or covertly pushing for ranked choice voting. This is only a fraction of the many more organizations out there. There are many organizations that even disguise themselves as local homeowner associations in an attempt to normalize the topic of ranked choice voting within a community. On this slide, I just want to show you who is funding one of these organizations, Fair Vote. I'll zoom in for a second here. You'll see names like Hewlett Foundation, Arnold Ventures, United American Institute, and likely others. This is information from 2021, 2022. If you go to other organizations on this page, like Indivisible or Represent Us, you'll find even more information about who is funding ranked choice voting. The Murdochs, the Bezoses, the Hollywood types like Jennifer Lawrence and Michael Douglas and Jack Black, all the A-list actors and actresses are mouthpieces that create promotional videos for ranked choice voting. Throughout the country, you can see globalist organizations are dumping literally hundreds of millions of dollars in different states to change how we vote. So, while the local ranked choice voting operatives are passionately trying to sell you an ideal version of how our elections should be fundamentally changed, I just want you to be aware that there are big dollars behind this, and it's really all about business and gaining control of our elections. On this slide, I just want to show you an example of how typically ranked choice voting gets pushed into a city or a county. Typically, multiple groups of ranked choice voting advocates work behind the scenes with your city council or county board of supervisors to get them to buy in to ranked choice voting first. Many ranked choice voting operatives actually get inserted into the city or county's election commission to lay out all the groundwork. In the case of Santa Clara County, they managed to put forth a ballot measure, Measure F, way back in 1998, believe it or not, before there was even a way to run instant runoff types of elections. This measure changed the county's charter and gave the Board of Supervisors the authority to change our elections to ranked choice voting as well. People passed Measure F without fully understanding what instant runoff really meant or the full ramifications. It just sounded like a good idea at the time. Zooming in to the summary for the measure, this is basically what it said in section 208 at the time. Nothing in this charter shall preclude the Board of Supervisors from authorizing an instant runoff voting system for the November general election, interesting, which eliminates the need for a runoff election or runoff elections when such technology is available to the county. So before they even knew they could do it with proper system hardware, they put it in place back in 1998. So in case you didn't know, if they succeed, Santa Clara County will be the very first county in California to be using ranked choice voting. And while we were talking, the ranked choice voting operatives are actively trying to get to the city of Sunnyvale in California to change its charter to use ranked choice voting. So the proponents of ranked choice voting hire high-profile actors and actresses like Michael Douglas and Jennifer Lawrence to convince you this method will produce candidates that better represent the people. They also plaster the internet with videos using simplistic vote for your favorite ice cream or candies or color post-its to demonstrate how easy and fun it is to vote the ranked choice way. Unfortunately, the devil is in the details. You will quickly discover that while they love to show you how to vote using ranked choice voting, chunk choice voting, they will never show you how to count your votes. Now I will show you some of the major red flags with the ranked choice voting regarding how they count or decide not to count your vote. This is something the ranked choice voting lobbyists really don't want you to know. I will demonstrate to you scenarios that actually happened in an Oakland, California election on Oakland ballots. While I go through it, I invite you to think about how would you vote if you encountered these types of ballots? How much time would you seriously believe you would need to spend researching to vote intelligently with this system? What desired outcome do you think you will get out of changing to a ranked choice voting system? And how do you verify, actually, that your vote was counted as you intended? So, red flag number one. This is the ballot for the Oakland mayor's race in 2022. There are 10 candidates, and the instructions say to rank 5. By the way, as everyone knows, it's pretty typical these days to have this many candidates in one contest. And also, for ranked choice voting, this is just one of the contests among many contests you would need to rank this way. So the first problem I see is instead of the ability to just pick my favorite candidate in each contest, now I am obligated to rank multiple candidates, all that they ask, even the ones I don't like. Can you imagine the amount of time you would now need to research and vote intelligently? The truth is, when a voter encounters this kind of ballot, they often apply their own interpretation on how they believe the ballot needs to be marked. It can be marked many different ways. What could go wrong? What if you don't want to rank them all? The short answer is you can, but you risk your vote not being counted. If you just vote for one person, the chances are your vote will be thrown out prematurely even if the person gets more votes in the first round. Why? Because if your candidate doesn't get over 50% in the first round, the other candidates get to keep accumulating additional votes from people who rank them lower, even as their last choice, until they overtake the first round winner. This is what happened to the 2022 first round Oakland mayor election winner, Taylor in this case. He was winning until the 8th round. Well, what if you marked your two favorite candidates as number one and did not care for any of the other candidates? Not an unrealistic position, really. Well, if you vote like this, your ballot is completely thrown out, or exhausted, as they say, because the ranked choice voting algorithm is not able to read your mind as to who you would prefer as number one. And also, by the way, if you think voting this way ensures a runoff between these two candidates, think again. It does not. So you'd better not vote this way under ranked choice voting. Well, what if you're really excited about one candidate and decide to mark that person on all 5 ranks? People actually do this. Well, because the ranked choice voting algorithm does not correctly account for this, Instead of counting your ballot and including your favorite candidate in each round, your entire ballot is disallowed and thrown out. Well, what if you choose to mark your favorite candidate as number 1 and your least favorite candidate as number 5? Very logical. Well, if your number 1 candidate is eliminated before round 5 and that least favorite candidate is not eliminated, then congratulations, you just helped your least favorite candidate to move ahead into the next round. Enough misunderstandings like this can cause your least favorite candidate to actually win. Amazing. Red flag number 2, wrong settings and confusing ballots. We'll start with mistake number 1 in this ballot. Some voters did not rank a first choice. This is Oakland, California, 2022 School Director District 4 race. The ranked choice voting algorithm was found actually to have been incorrectly configured to suspend this ballot because it didn't rank a first choice instead of giving proper credit to the voter's first voted choice, which would be the second choice in this case. Turns out that 235 ballots in this race were suspended in just this way and not included in the vote totals, such that Mike Hutchinson, the actual winner, was erroneously eliminated in the first round. Mike Hutchinson and the other candidate, who was already declared the winner by the Registrar of Voters, ended up having to hire their own attorneys to demand a recount to challenge and overturn the election, the results of that race. How many candidates do you think would have the money to hire a lawyer to fight to make it right? Or are they just going to accept the wrong result? The answer may surprise you. Bear in mind, a recount in the ranked choice voting scenario is not what you think and is no picnic. Having to rebalance race choices from round to round by hand is a mess. The worst part is that there really is no way to easily catch this kind of error because ranked choice voting is really not hand recountable, despite what they say. This error was caught only because an independent organization happened to run a simulation of this contest and discovered that some ballots could indeed be incorrectly suspended. As a voter forced to use ranked choice voting, how would you know if your ballot and precious vote was suspended or not? Do you see the problem with ranked choice voting yet? Mistake number 2, instructing voters to rank 5 candidates when there are only 2. This is the Oakland November 2023 School Director District 5 election. It only had 2 candidates, but on the ballot it instructs the voter to mark 5 ranks for every contest. This caused a lot of voter confusion, as you might expect, and many incorrectly marked ballots. This resulted in multiple ballots being discarded or thrown out, and their votes not being included in the final tally. It is disturbing to see that the ranked choice voting has created more chaos in the simplest of elections with just a few candidates compared to traditional runoff type elections. The reality is, no matter how you vote, chances are you did it wrong. There are just far too many possibilities for error with ranked choice voting. There are so many combinations with ranked choice voting that could cause it to go wrong that would take many hours to explain. So how could we ever trust our vote with such a voting method? By the way, you will hear the ranked choice voting proponents and the paid lobbyists proclaim that we just need more voter education. Well, the problem with that is that cities like Oakland, California have been using ranked choice voting for over 14 years. How much more training can be done to make a convoluted method less error prone for both election workers and the voters? This brings us to red flag number 3. Most winning candidates didn't actually win by greater than 50% majority. In an Oakland mayor's race shown here, Taylor led in every round until round 8 and ended up losing by only 677 votes. Zhao was declared the winner with the claim that she won by 50.30% of the votes. In reality, however, with almost 20,000 ballots thrown out in early rounds, the real result, accounting for all voters who voted, showed that Cheng Tao actually only received 45.7% of the votes. How is that a clear majority? In a traditional election, with the top 2 going to the general election, voters have a real opportunity to compare side by side and decide whether they really want one of the 2 candidates instead of having their ballots tossed out early and never getting that chance again. The Oakland mayor's deceptive majority claim is not unique. Please watch our animation video using the QR code on the page to see more details on how this happens with ranked choice voting in different cities and states where ranked choice voting is implemented. One of the proponents' favorite claims is that ranked choice voting promotes coalition building. Well, in reality, candidates are colluding to game the system by putting in as many people on the ballot as they can. These people are not on the ballot to win, but aim to pull the most popular candidate below the 50% in the first round. Once that is achieved, game on. Algorithm and settings determine who wins. Red flag number 4. 276,480 different ways to count your vote. In red flag number 2, as you recall, I mentioned about a setting error that caused the wrong candidate to be declared winner. That may have happened with the wrong setting for previous round evaluation method shown here. Did you know that the current ranked choice voting system has 14 different built-in programmable settings? The following voting system settings page that you see here is part of the Santa Clara County Citizens Advisory Commission on Election, or CACE, case, May 8th, 2023 agenda package. So it's not something we're just making up. Just like your washing machine, depending on which combination of switches you choose, you can potentially produce very different outcomes. For example, did you know with fixed precision decimal settings shown here, the system can literally be set to count your one vote as just a fraction of one vote instead? What does that mean? Well, depending on what number they enter in this field, your votes can be counted as a fraction of one vote instead of a full vote. Are you okay with that? Does it even make sense? They're going to tell you, we're not even using that setting anyway. But how do you know? They're not even required to tell you if they are or not. In the past few years, since 2021, a few of us who really care about election transparency asked our ROV, the Registrar of Voters, to give us observation access when they set the tabulation sensitivity settings, the adjudication settings, and other settings before an election. They fought us, and they consistently refused. The question to ask is, why would you want any voting system that has a 9 decimal point precision weight to calculate how much of your vote is really counted? These settings can all be easily changed, by the way, even midstream tabulating ballots. Also, depending on how the previous round evaluation method setting is set, it could change how your vote is counted from round to round, which may decide whether your vote is counted or discarded completely. A quick glance will tell you that once you accept ranked choice voting, voters completely lose control of how their votes are counted. Are you okay with that? One of the key reasons that we wanted to bring this urgent message to you is because the ranked choice voting operatives have been working hard in California for over 20 years to flip city by city, county by county, to fundamentally change how we vote. In 2024, this is what happened to Richmond, California. The ranked choice voting paid lobbyist, Fairvote, convinced the City Council of Richmond that ranked choice voting would save money. So Measure L was put on the ballot and achieved over 50% of the citizens' vote. Polls proved, however, that the citizens did not fully understand what they were voting for, and yet the simplistic vote for your favorite ice cream flavor marketing pitch convinced enough voters to vote yes. Thankfully, it just so happens that a group of informed Richmond citizens, led by the president of the local Plumbers Association, Don Gosney, put on the ballot a competing Measure J, advocating for traditional top two runoff elections. Like Sunnyvale, they didn't have a top two runoff election. They just had one election. Whoever got the top votes, even though they could be far less than the 50% majority, won the election. So Don and his group put up their own money. It took them over a year and a half of planning and signature gathering to change their election process to ensure that only the candidate with over 50% majority won. Fortunately, Measure J ended up with more votes than Measure L. Richmond residents are lucky that their election process was saved by Measure J. Richmond is a cautionary tale to voters of all cities and counties. They must get all the facts straight and not be fooled by so-called success stories. The voters must be vigilant to safeguard their vote by not being manipulated into changing tried and true election processes to something like ranked choice voting without fully understanding how it really works, so they don't end up with a mediocre mayor like Sheng Tao in Oakland, who was not the people's favorite, by the way, and who later was actually found to be a criminal. The sad truth is, Don told us that the City Council of Richmond is already planning to put up a ranked choice voting measure again in the next election. For them, it costs little for them to do so, not like citizens doing it themselves. But this is what they do. The same thing happened in Sunnyvale. The City Council removed ranked choice voting from their charter in 2022. But now we're hearing lobbyists are lobbying the new City Council to put it back on. This will never end until citizens of each county and each city are well educated on this topic and stay vigilant. If you see an instant runoff or a ranked choice voting measure on your ballot, vote no. If you care about your voice through your vote, please don't take this lightly. Thank you for listening. For additional resources on ranked choice voting and other topics, go to 1millionauditors.org.